this new moon in Taurus is all about creating financial stability, emotional stability, and stability through pleasure and creating it because we need it after the full moon in Scorpio kind of created a lot of challenges, a lot of upheaval, a lot of changes for us, whether it was internally or we experienced it in the natural world. So after all that change and all that upheaval that we experienced during the full moon in Scorpio, this new moon comes to create stability for the long term for us and newness. Okay. So that's what we're going to be getting into for this astrology and tarot reading. I want to talk about the fixed star Algol. I want to talk about the nakshatra Krittika. I'm going to be talking about the aspects to the new moon. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. And like I said, I'm going to be using my cards to kind of lead the conversation, the astrological conversation. Um, so I want to start off with talking about the conjunction of Gemini, not Gemini, the conjunction with Mercury and Uranus. They're going to be conjunct with the new moon. So we have the new moon in Taurus, we have Mercury in Taurus, but Uranus is conjunct in the zodiac sign Gemini. And for me, that is about creating a threshold for us to make choices for the long term, for our long term stability, like I just was talking about. And I know that in the Yoruba tradition, they don't like to, I heard that they don't like to connect the Orishas with planets and zodiac signs. But for me, I connect the Orisha Eshu with Mercury because he has a lot to do with making choices and it has a lot to do with being there at the crossroads. And with Uranus making such a big impact during this new moon in Taurus, it's going to be like pushing us forward and pushing us to newness and pushing us to like radical changes, evolutions, and revolutions in our lives and, in different areas of our lives. And in order for us to allow those changes, that forward future motion that Uranus tries to pull us in, we're going to have to make new choices and new decisions. Eshu was also a messenger, and we have to be able to hear the messages that God or the divine that the universe is trying to give us through Mercury, and that's conjunct Uranus. So there's a threshold that I believe that we are standing at with this new moon, and it's not to make decisions that are going to last for next week or the next 30 days. It's for the long term. With Taurus represents the long term, very creating newness that's going to last for a very long time. Okay. So we want to pull a card that is called the threshold position. That shows us, it's going to give us some answers to this Uranus Gemini connection, where a lot of us are at the threshold of life changing things. Let's find out what the message is for the collective. For the collective, what do we need to be? What threshold are we at right now? All right. Okay. So this is the Four of Swords. And I think the Four of Swords has been coming out a lot lately for me when I've been doing readings for other people. So it's like we've almost been at a standstill. We've been in a state of resting. Uh, we might have had a lot of just like mental activity that we've been experienced. Like I said, the full moon in Scorpio could have caused a lot of change. Sometimes when you have a lot of thoughts on your mind, it makes you kind of want to pause and just sit there and be like, okay, what do I do now? And like I just was saying, that's what this new moon in Taurus is all about, is getting divine messages from God to understand what do I do now, okay? So that's what's going to help you move forward, understanding the new decisions and choices that you need to make, okay? Um All right. Uh, so let's make sure. I want to make sure that we really understand, like, get some type of strategy to understand to get direction from God. What kind of choices do we need to make? Okay. But that's what's going to give you the push, the clarity to move forward. Okay. All right. And next is the investment. Okay. There's investments that we're going to have to make to create expansion in our lives. And that's because of the sextile to the new moon with Jupiter in Cancer is sextiling the new moon in Taurus. Okay. So we're going to have to invest in our long-term financial stability. How are we going to do that? That's what we need to be thinking about. We're going to need to invest in our emotional stability for the long term. We're going to need to find ways to invest in our pleasure because Taurus is about things that bring us pleasure, okay? Um, whatever it might be, we might find new things that give us pleasure. So what do we need to invest in as a collective? What are the investments that we need to make that are going to help us expand in our lives? What are the investments that we're going to need to make? So while these cards keep on falling out, I want us to understand too that we're investing in our long-term financial stability or instability right now. We're investing in our long term emotional stability or instability right now, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. So make sure cause I'm saying whatever you put into your life, whatever you're investing in right now, it's going to expand, and it's going to last for the long term. So you want to make sure you're intentional about whatever you're investing into your life right now because whatever it is, it's going to expand and it's going to last a long time. Okay. So be very intentional. What do we need to invest in as a collective? Five of Wands. Hmm. I want to get a little clarity into that. So I'm going to let's see. What Five of Wands? What do we need to invest in? What do we need to invest in? Tell me more about this Five of Wands. Mm-mm-mm. The Tower. That was definitely the full moon in Scorpio. Ace of Cups and the Chariot. So we need to invest in um some type of new inspiration that we might be have in our hearts because in a while I'm going to pull a card that talks about our fire, our passion, because that's going to be really strong during this new moon in Taurus. And I feel like this is already talking about it. Like we need to this full moon in Scorpio could have shaken up something in us that could have created some type of inspiration for us. And it's time to move forward in that. Um, it's time to move forward in that. And it's important that we don't fight against change. Because like I'm saying, with this new moon being conjunct Uranus, there's it's going to be change to happen. So what we want to do is not resist it, because if we resist change, we end up staying still or being pulled back. And that's what we don't want to do. We want to move forward. So invest in whatever you're inspired in that's new for you. Invest in that new inspiration and move forward with it. And not slowly, quickly. This is a chariot. This is also a major arcana card with the tower. So move quickly into whatever you're being inspired by. Um, and don't fight yourself. Don't fight other people. because other people might not understand. Don't fight yourself. Don't fight other people. Just understand there might be resistance against change. It might come from you internally. It might come from other people. But what we're not going to do is fight against it. Okay, we're going to power through, and that's what Taurus is all about. Is being able to be strong and endure. Okay, so we're going to have to do that to fight for the change that we want in our lives. To fight for the long-term financial and emotional stability that we want. We're going to have to fight. Be prepared for a fight. Be prepared to fight with your actions of moving forward. We're not going to fight in a way that we're trying to explain ourselves, that we're going back and forth with people, trying to get people to understand, trying to get ourselves to even understand. We're going to fight with just that forward action of creating and building whatever, something new for our lives. Okay. I'm going to leave that right there. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do is the blade. Now, I learned a lot about this fixed star called Algol when I was doing my research for this new moon in Taurus. Now, Algol is a fixed star that is at 26 degrees of Taurus, and the new moon is actually in 25 degrees of Taurus. So it's really close. And Algol is represented by a severed head that's supposed to be Medusa's head that Perseus cut off, and it's in the constellation Perseus. Okay. So for me, this hit really strong because that's the same. My retrograde Chiron is at 25 degrees of Taurus. So this new moon is I'm prepared for it. I'm ready for it. Okay. And learning so much about Medusa's having a new eyes, looking at Medusa's mythology and her story, really explained a lot about my life. But it's that severing, it's that cutting off that really hit close to me. Um, and there's something else that's connected to cutting off with this new moon. And it's now I do Vedic astrology, but I do it in a way that's like Victor Kara does it. So it's like we're kind of combining traditional Vedic astrology with tropical astrology. I use the lunar nakshatras with the tropical astrology houses and planetary placements. So in Vedic astrology, the new moon is going to be in the nakshatra Krittika. And Krittika has a lot to do with cutting away too. And in order to, let me slow down because this means, in order for us to overcome, in order for us to overcome any Medusa-like challenges, we're going to have to cut away the old, and which is what Uranus is asking us to do anyway. Is asking us to push forward, push to the new, and the only way to do that is to cut off the old. Okay, and some things that I noticed that are similar to my wounds that I have and Medusa's wounds in mythology that need to be cut away in order for me to move into newness are being misunderstood. So being misunderstood, we're going to have to cut away anything that might try to stop you from moving forward because of being misunderstood. Um, Being isolated, okay. Uh, Medusa, once the situation with Poseidon happened at the temple, at least this is one version of the story. The situation that happened with Poseidon and Medusa, when Athena found out, she sent her into isolation. Okay. And that has a lot to do with sometimes people can anyway, I'm gonna get to that when I get to the last section because I don't want to skip ahead. But if you have a tendency to isolate yourself or allow other people to isolate you because of what's inside you or because of a fear of being misunderstood or people being jealous of you or being afraid of the power that you have, this new moon, you have to cut that away. Okay. Um, what else was it? Jealousy. Jealousy is a factor with Taurus and with Scorpio. They're basically one and the same in a lot of different ways. So cutting away, not doing things because people might be jealous of you, or cutting away, not doing things because you might be jealous of other people. If jealousy creeps up, you have to cut it away during this new moon. Okay, that was another thing that has affected my life, and I realized was a big factor in Medusa's mythology. Also, people trying to use you without really seeing you, without really knowing you, huge factor. Um, so we'll start with Athena. Athena used Medusa's loyalty as a high priest. She used her loyalty. She used her uh, need to devote herself to something. She used her innocence. She used just her just wanting to be right. She used that, and I feel like in order for her to not understand that um, Medusa was violated, or not even try to understand that she was violated, and she just turned her into a monster and isolated her, threw her away like that. That shows that she didn't really know her or care to know her heart. And she used her without taking the time to know her and understand her, or even get her side of the story. Poseidon, in a lot of her mythology, used her body, okay, and used her beauty and didn't really care to know her. And he also used her to, I feel like, to get back at Athena for winning what is it? They were in some type of competition, and Athena won. And he used violating Medusa in her temple to get back at her. So her beauty was used, her loyalty was used, her body was used. Nobody really cared about her. Um, Perseus to um, used her to you see, the story with Perseus is a king sent him away because he wanted to marry his mother. So he was like, I need you to go uh, cut Medusa's. Oh, if I don't know if I can say that. What, cut this off of Medusa. So, um, then you'll win something or whatever. Like so, Perseus was used her head even after she died too. After he cut it off, he used it to. She still had her power. Even after he cut her head off, he used it to turn a kraken, or it's different monsters in different mythology. Some people say it was the kraken, some people say it was Atlas, but he still used her power after she was decapitated to turn something else into stone. Didn't really care that she wasn't really a monster. Didn't really care about that. So and Krittika has a lot to do with cutting things away. Also, one of the things that represent Krittika is a knife. Cutting away the things. Um, and one of the things I learned about the nakshatra Krittika is connected to because it's in Vedic astrology, it has a lot to do with going from Aries to Taurus, right? So the with it could be like the newness of you, or like the animal side of you, the part of you that isn't refined, moving to the part that is refined. So we're cutting away anything that's keeping you from being like the real you, the raw you, the refined you, the stable you. We're cutting that away, and that's we're just going to be left with who we are and what we have, which is our power. I'm going to get to that. Okay, so I feel like that was a long explanation, but I just wanted to get that through. So what this is the blade, okay? This card is going to represent the blade, what we need to cut off, what we need to cut away for our long-term financial and emotional stability. What do we need to cut away? Okay, 7 of Cups. This is upside down. Um, so this to me always means confusion. And I'm going to pull some more cards, but I feel like it's confusion. Confusion that I want to say this the right way. Confusion, not from just not knowing, but something else I didn't say with Medusa is I feel like projection was a major theme in her mythology. It's not really out there in the front, but that's just what I was picking up when I was going through the research. Um, People projected who they thought she was onto her without even really understanding who she actually was. And I feel like that's a major thing uh, with using the shield to with Athena giving Perseus the shield to defeat her. And I feel like what she did, how she was able to turn people into stone, was she learned to use that projection and put it right back on the people. Like, okay, you don't see me, but when you look at me, I'm going to show you yourself, and that's going to turn you into stone. Okay, so it's like I feel like she projected that right back on to other people. And I feel like that's why Athena later put Medusa's head on her shield, is because being able to project what other people, what's in other people back onto them is a form of protection. Okay. That's a form of protection that Medusa learned to use. So it's like she took the projection that people tried to put on her and put it on the other people. And that's what created protection. That's how she used it as protection. And so if we take in what other people think, who other people think we are, the power that other people think that we have, if we take that upon ourselves, if we accept that, if we absorb that, if we start to believe that, then that's going to cause confusion in us about who we are and what we have, the power that we have, our resources. And so we have to get rid of we have to cut away, because this is the blade card. We have to cut away the projections that other people put on us about who we are and what we have. And that is one thing that's going to help us with our long term success and our long term emotional stability. I'm going to pull a couple cards though. Let's clarify. Can you clarify 7 of Cups reverse for me? The Star. Okay, that's lack of hope, despair, justice. Mm, we are getting a and 5 of Swords. I mean, yeah, this is Five of Swords. So if we listen to what other people have said to us or showed us or made us feel in any way opposite of who we actually are, is going to cause confusion that could lead to loss of hope, despair, depression in some type of way. It's going to cause us to, this is the star card, but it's reversed. It came out reversed. So the star is supposed to shine, is to be seen, but it can cause us to do that isolation thing with Medusa. It can cause us to isolate ourselves. When you start to feel low and depressed and lack of hope, you do start to isolate yourself. Okay. So we're cutting away depression, loss of hope. We're cutting away again the urge to make ourselves invisible, to hide away, to isolate ourselves. And this is justice. Um, there's a connection with the swords and justice. And so for me, this is what I feel. This is what I'm feeling. Cutting away the confusion put on you by other people. Having the strength, which is Taurus again, to endure whatever we're going through and move forward so we can get out of any depression, despair, lack of hope, just and getting moving forward. That can be, that will create the justice for the people who try to confuse you about who you are and what you have and what you can do. That's going to create the justice for these people. Okay. So you don't have to worry about trying to put karma on other people. No. Getting out of confusion about who you are, knowing who you are and what you have, that's going to create the justice. And then using that chariot to move forward with that swiftly. Okay, swiftly. That's what's going to help. Okay. So let me go ahead and move on. The seed, our new vision of ourselves. Okay. For the collective, what is the new vision that we have for ourselves that we're going to plant? During the new moon, we plant seeds of newness. We plant our intentions, we set our goals. And I keep talking about it having this conjunction with Uranus because it's so important. It's so important. Okay. So, what is our new vision or the new version of ourselves that we're going to be planting a seed for? Knight of Swords. I want to get some more clarity on this Knight of Swords. Look at him. Okay, we talking about cutting away. That's the Knight of Swords. Okay, so the new vision, the new vision. Give me some more clarity on this Knight of Swords. The new version, the new vision of ourselves. What is the new seed that we need to plant? Now, he don't play around. Okay. He he cuts things swiftly. Okay. He's not quite the king yet. So he's not like, let's think about this. Let's make sure we're looking at things and being smart about this and using wisdom. Line of Swords is like, what? Nah, cut that out. So let's let's get some more clarity on. Tell me more about this Knight of Swords for the new version of ourselves that we need to plant seeds for. The Empress reverse. Okay. All right. I see you. I see you. Seven of Cups. And is this the second time the Seven of Cups came up? Yeah. And only it's upright this time. Okay. Uh, and this is the Five of Cups reversed. So what we're doing, I see you now. Okay. So Venus is a major factor. Venus is in Gemini with Uranus. They're not conjunct, but Venus is in Gemini. Venus is the planet that rules Taurus, okay, where the new moon is. So the Empress reverse the is a divine feminine that is stuck, that is not creative, that's not creating, that's just not in alignment with her power, with who she is. And so we're cutting away this version of us, the being stuck, not being creative, not being in alignment with the divine feminine. We're planting seeds that does not involve the Empress reverse. So that means with Venus playing a major factor in this new moon because it's in Taurus and in Gemini, we're going to just have to turn her upright. The seeds that we plant, she's going to have to be upright. We're going to tap into our divine feminine energy. Okay. Tap into our pleasure, tap into our creativity, especially when it comes to abundance. This is abundance. When she's upright, this is abundance. So we're tapping into the divine feminine that attracts financial stability. That doesn't, it's not thinking about working hard and trying to hustle. It just attracts, it just is abundance. Um, she is abundance. And so that's what she attracts. She's not trying to fight hard to get anything. So we're planting seeds. Um, we're planting seeds that are in alignment with the Empress card and with the Empress clarifying the Knight of Swords. Um we're cutting away anything mentally that will try to keep us in the energy of Empress reverse. Okay. Then we have the Seven of Cups, and it's upright this time for the seeds that we're planting for the new version of us. So we're planting seeds of multiple opportunities. Okay. And also with the queen of well, not queen of, with the Empress right here, with these multiple opportunities, we're going to have the wisdom and use our intuition to help us gain clarity on which opportunities are for our highest good, which opportunities will help lead us into um, financial and emotional stability. Okay. So we're planting seeds of opportunity. And what else are we cutting away? We're cutting away the Five of Cups reverse, regrets. Okay? We're cutting that out. We might have made mistakes in the past. And when I was talking about wounds during the new moon, the new moon in Aries and the full moon in Scorpio, we're cutting away any regrets, any sorrows, any shame, any guilt that might have come up from any challenges that we might have experienced last month. Okay. Any regrets, any shame, any guilt that we might have experienced from um, not having maybe the financial stability that we want, from maybe not having the emotional stability that we want. This we're cutting that away. This don't have nothing to do with what we're planning. Okay. Plant seeds, we're not gonna be like I'm getting all the calls today. So when we plant seeds for the new moon, we're not gonna plant seeds that have anything to do with regrets, sorrows, guilt, shame, being stuck in the past. None of that. Okay. So it's all about opportunities, creativity, and the divine feminine energy. That's the seeds that we're planting for for this new moon in Taurus. All right. So for the last thing, for the last card, we have your fire, okay? Your passion, your power. Because the full moon is with the full moon in Scorpio, Scorpio is all about your power. That song that I made a video about this too, but the song that Beyonce did, My Power, is so connected to the Orisha Oya which for me is connected to the zodiac sign Scorpio. And with the full moon in Scorpio, when all the challenges that we might have experienced, we also could have been reconnected to our power. And if we're able to face our wounds, like I was talking about for the new moon in Aries and the full moon in Scorpio, if we were able to face our wounds and transmute our wounds, then we could see we could turn our wounds into our power, which is what Medusa ended up doing. Like I was talking about with the projection that people try to put on her, and she put it right back on them. Okay. So she learned how to take her wounds and turn them into her power. And so, whatever we feel like our power is, especially our power that we haven't been walking in, that we haven't been using the way that we need to, that we might have been trying to hide, try to isolate, whatever our power is, how can we use that as a resource? Because Taurus is about what we have, it's about our resources. So, how can we use our power as our Lord? Forget it. They stand right there. They don't want me to talk to them right now. What How can we turn our power into a resource, our fire into a resource? The hermit, contemplation. Okay, the first thing that came to my mind was magic. Because I know the hermit is Virgo, and Virgo, that's where the south node of the moon is. The south node of the moon is the one of the co-rulers of Scorpio. And so I'm gonna pull a couple more cards. So like I was just talking about, Scorpio has a lot to do with that power that we might have seen during this full moon. During this full moon, Aries was in not Aries, but Mars was in Aries. I believe it still is. So please clarify this. How can we use our fire as a resource? This is really like thinking about how we can level up, uh how we can protect ourselves, how we can level up. Tell me more about this Hermit card for how we can use our power during this new moon in Taurus as a resource. The Scorpio want to keep coming out. I got that the Eight of Cups, the Ace of Candles, and the King of Potions. So how can we use our power? One, we have to walk away from controlling people. We have to walk away from controlling people, controlling groups of people, people that don't understand us, people that don't get us. So we have to walk away from that. Um, we have to use our power to guide us. Like, see this card right here with the Ace of Candles? It's like she's like, okay, I have some type of new inspiration. I have some type of new passion. I have some type of new fire. And I've already talked about this. How can I use this new passion, this new fire to guide me? And this goes along with the Hermit card because it's like she's meditating, just like the Hermit. Okay. And saying, how can I? Because Virgo is all about timing, Virgo is all about strategy. Virgo is about unity, and it's about groups too. But it's about groups of people who help each other, who support each other, not groups of people who might try to hold you down and keep you invisible. So we're walking away from groups that um, are not for our highest good, moving to have groups around us that are for our highest good. Okay. And with the King of Potions, for me, this is that emotional stability that I was talking about, because the King of Potions is the King of Cups. And the King of Cups has mastered emotional stability, has what is that word I'm looking for? Not stability, but emotional intelligence. Okay. And with the new moon being in Taurus, the moon is exalted. Even though it's new, it's still exalted in Taurus. So that's where we have like peak emotional stability. So how can we use our power? It's not we're not getting moved by our emotions. We're not allowing other people to move us by our emotions. We are emotionally stable. We are moving away from people who might be emotionally manipulative, who might be emotionally controlling, all of that. That's how we can use our power to as a resource to help us level up and tap into our own inner individual magic. Okay. So that is what I have for you for this new moon in Taurus. Hopefully you got something out of it as a collective. Now, during the next couple days, I'm going to be posting shorts that where you can connect on your rising sign, what this new moon in Taurus might mean for you. So keep an eye out for that. So, and if any of this really resonated with you, you can look in the description for a personal reading, and we can go deeper into what this new moon might mean for you or what your next steps could be, no matter what type of transition you might be experiencing right now. All right, I'll talk to you next time.